If Jeff the Killer was a movie, plot changes and casting calls. Jeff the Killer, the infamous creepypasta character, has haunted the internet for years with his unsettling backstory, eerie appearance, and chilling tales of madness and murder. Originally conceived as a spooky story, Jeff the Killer has since become one of the most iconic figures in online horror, inspiring fan art, fan fiction, and even a dedicated following of fans. But what if Jeff the Killer was adapted into a feature-length film? Let's dive into the plot changes, casting calls, and potential direction a movie could take, transforming this terrifying character into a silver screen sensation. The original Jeff the Killer story. In the original creepypasta, Jeff is a young man who undergoes a brutal transformation after a series of traumatic events. He becomes a psychopath with a haunting appearance, characterized by pale skin, dark, hollow eyes, and an unnerving, permanent smile. The tale focuses on his descent into madness and his interactions with victims. Though his origins are a subject of mystery, his notoriety lies in his terrifying reputation as a sadistic killer. Plot changes for the movie. A movie adaptation would need to tweak the story to fit the cinematic world, while still capturing the essence of Jeff's creepy allure. Here's how the plot might unfold. 1. A psychological thriller with a dark backstory. Instead of diving straight into Jeff's rampage, the film could take a psychological approach, focusing on the events that shape his character. We could see his life before the transformation, showcasing a once normal teenager, struggling with school, bullying, and family issues. His transformation into Jeff the Killer could be depicted as the result of a deeply disturbing event that pushes him over the edge. By focusing on Jeff's vulnerability, the film would build a more complex and terrifying backstory. 2. A cat-and-mouse game. The movie could introduce a central character, a detective or journalist, determined to uncover the truth behind Jeff's killings. This character would serve as the film's protagonist, offering a classic cat-and-mouse chase as they try to uncover clues while being stalked by Jeff. The story could follow a series of mysterious murders linked to Jeff, and the audience would slowly learn about his twisted methods through the protagonist's investigation. 3. The Eternal Monster. To add a layer of horror beyond a typical slasher film, the movie could incorporate a supernatural element, transforming Jeff from a mere killer into an almost mythical figure. Perhaps Jeff's smile and eerie appearance are not just the results of physical trauma, but are tied to an ancient curse or dark entity that keeps him alive and hunting for victims. This would introduce a chilling element of immortality, making Jeff an unstoppable force of nature. 4. More complex victims. While Jeff's victims in the original story are mostly random, the movie could give them more depth and complexity. Instead of one-dimensional targets, these characters could have their own stories, creating an emotional connection with the audience. As Jeff hunts them down, the film could explore the tension between victim and killer, making the eventual demise all the more tragic and impactful. Casting calls. Who should play Jeff? Casting the role of Jeff the Killer would be one of the most challenging aspects of the film, as the character demands a blend of physical intensity, psychological depth, and a creepy presence. Here are a few actors who might be up to the challenge. 1. Bill Skarsgård. Known for his role as Pennywise the Dancing Clown in It, 2017, Bill Skarsgård has already proven that he can portray unsettling and disturbing characters. His ability to portray characters with eerie smiles and deep, haunting eyes would make him an excellent choice for Jeff. Skarsgård's unsettling charisma would lend itself perfectly to the role, creating a Jeff who is both menacing and strangely captivating. 2. Dane DeHaan. Dane DeHaan, with his pale complexion and brooding presence, has the look and talent to portray a complex character like Jeff. Known for his performances in Chronicle and The Place Beyond the Pines, DeHaan has the ability to delve into the darkness of his characters and convey a sense of disturbing vulnerability. He could bring a nuanced, psychological edge to Jeff, making him more than just a slasher villain. 3. Adam Driver. Adam Driver's performances in Star Wars and Marriage Story have shown that he can take on roles that balance raw emotion with intensity. His tall, imposing presence and ability to tap into a character's internal struggle would make him a great fit for the role of Jeff. Driver could take Jeff beyond a simple killer, exploring his emotional and psychological trauma while delivering a performance that could be as heartbreaking as it is terrifying. 4. Tom Felton. Known for playing Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter series, Tom Felton has the sinister look and acting chops to play a character like Jeff the Killer. His ability to play morally ambiguous characters with a twisted side could make him a great fit for the role. Felton could bring a sense of tragic madness to Jeff, focusing on his breakdown and gradual descent into horror. Supporting cast. For the role of the protagonist, we could look at actors who excel in thriller or horror genres. 1. Florence Pugh. Florence Pugh has proven herself in both psychological dramas, Midsommar, and intense thrillers, A Good Person. Her versatile acting style would make her an excellent choice for the protagonist, bringing depth and resilience to the character who faces off against Jeff. She could provide a strong emotional center as she confronts the malevolent force that is Jeff. 2. John Boyega. John Boyega's breakout role in Star Wars showed his ability to handle high-stakes situations with both intensity and vulnerability. Boyega would make a great lead as the investigator or journalist pursuing Jeff, bringing a sense of determination and urgency to the role. Incorporating Jane the Killer, the bullies, and Jeff's family into the movie adaptation. The inclusion of Jane the Killer, Jeff's parents, and the bullies who tormented Jeff and his brother Lou would add complexity and depth to the Jeff the Killer movie adaptation. These characters could enhance the plot, provide motivations for Jeff's descent into madness, and introduce emotional conflicts. Here's how each character could be integrated into the film. Jane the Killer, Jeff's dark mirror. Jane the Killer is an essential character in the Jeff the Killer universe. She is often depicted as a woman who becomes a killer herself after a tragic encounter with Jeff. In the movie adaptation, Jane could be introduced as a major antagonist or, at the very least, a dark mirror to Jeff. Here's how she could fit into the plot. 1. A past connection to Jeff. Instead of being a random killer, Jane could be woven into the backstory of Jeff's transformation. Perhaps Jane and Jeff were once childhood friends or acquaintances, with a deep bond that eventually turned sour. In the movie, Jane's tragic backstory could be explored, showing how she suffers a traumatic event that sets her on a path of vengeance. Her eventual confrontation with Jeff could reflect their shared history and fractured relationship. Jane's motivation could be driven by betrayal or a personal vendetta, making her a tragic figure who both challenges and mirrors Jeff's own path to violence. 2. A pursuer of justice. Alternatively, Jane could be a vigilante who becomes obsessed with stopping Jeff. As the film progresses, she could take on the role of the protagonist who seeks to track Jeff down. This dynamic would create a tense hunter versus hunted relationship, with Jane relentlessly pursuing Jeff after discovering his killings. As the film develops, Jane's character could be shown as struggling with her own morality, her desire for justice clashing with her methods and increasing darkness. Her pursuit could be a critical turning point in the film, possibly leading to a tragic final showdown where both characters face the consequences of their actions. The bullies, catalyst for Jeff's transformation. The bullies who tormented Jeff and his brother Lou serve as crucial elements in the development of Jeff's character. The film adaptation could portray these bullies not just as minor figures, but as pivotal moments in Jeff's descent into madness. 1. Flashbacks to Jeff and Lou's childhood. The bullies could be introduced through flashbacks, providing context for Jeff's early life. In these sequences, we would see young Jeff and Lou struggling with school life, bullying, and family problems. The bullies could be shown as regular schoolyard tormentors, pushing Jeff to the brink. These flashbacks could be interspersed throughout the movie, showing how these traumatic experiences built up over time, ultimately leading to Jeff's violent transformation. 2. A final encounter. In the film's present-day timeline, the bullies could reappear in a more adult form, still living in the town where Jeff grew up. Perhaps they've moved on with their lives, but the ghosts of their past actions still haunt them. When they cross paths with Jeff and his killer persona, it could set off a tragic, violent confrontation. Jeff may target them as a form of revenge for the torment he endured, leading to a dark reckoning. This final encounter with the bullies could be both cathartic for Jeff and horrifying for the audience, showing how the pain of his past is still fresh. Jeff and Lou's parents, tragic figures in Jeff's downfall. The relationship between Jeff and his parents is essential for understanding his transformation into a killer. In the movie, the parents could be depicted as flawed individuals who contribute to Jeff's eventual breakdown in different ways. 1. A family struggling with its own demons. Jeff's parents could be portrayed as loving but neglectful. Perhaps they're unable to deal with the bullying Jeff faces at school or the growing violence in his life. There could be moments where they attempt to intervene, but their lack of understanding or emotional distance only makes things worse. Jeff's relationship with his parents could be strained, with his mother and father either failing to protect him or unintentionally contributing to his sense of alienation. Their inability to address the issues within their family dynamic could serve as a major factor in Jeff's eventual decision to lash out. 2. Lou as the heart of the family. Lou, Jeff's brother, would be an important character in the movie. He could be portrayed as the voice of reason, someone who loves Jeff but is also deeply concerned about his behavior. Lou might try to protect his brother from the harsh realities of their world, but his efforts could fail, leading to a tragic separation between them. Lou could play a critical role in the film as someone caught between loyalty to his brother and fear of what Jeff has become. His eventual fate, whether he becomes a victim of Jeff or a tragic witness to his downfall, could be an emotional anchor for the film. 3. A tragic parent-child breakdown. The climax of the movie could feature a confrontation between Jeff and his parents. Jeff, now fully transformed into the killer, could have a violent breakdown, confronting his parents about their failure to protect him from the bullying and pain he endured. This scene could show Jeff's resentment toward them, emphasizing how he blames his family for not understanding him. The emotional weight of this scene could amplify the tragedy of his transformation, creating a powerful and heart-wrenching moment in the film. Integrating all these characters into the story. The movie could take a non-linear approach, using flashbacks and present-day sequences to gradually unravel the relationships between Jeff, Jane, his family, and the bullies. By doing so, the film would create a more intricate and emotional narrative, diving into Jeff's tortured past and showing how various factors, his troubled childhood, bullying, a fractured family, and the encounter with Jane, contributed to his creation as Jeff the Killer. In terms of structure, the film could alternate between Jeff's present-day killings and flashbacks that explore his backstory. The bully's role in Jeff's descent would be revealed through these flashbacks, while Jane's involvement could be shown as an ongoing threat or counterforce, either as a vigilante or vengeful ex-friend. Jeff's relationship with Lou and his parents would give the film emotional depth, with Lou potentially being a source of hope that is ultimately overshadowed by Jeff's uncontrollable rage. Conclusion: a cinematic nightmare. Incorporating Jane the Killer, Jeff's family, and the bullies into the Jeff the Killer movie adaptation would deepen the psychological complexity of the story, offering more nuanced motivations for Jeff's violent actions. These characters would add emotional stakes, making the movie more than just a slasher film. It would become a dark exploration of trauma, revenge, and the consequences of neglect. By fleshing out these characters, the film would not only showcase Jeff's horrifying transformation, but also the tragic events and relationships that led to the making of one of the internet's most terrifying figures. If Jeff the Killer were to make it to the big screen, it could be an intense, psychological roller coaster that delves into the character's origins, motivations, and unrelenting terror. With a mix of subtle horror, psychological depth, and disturbing thrills, the movie would offer a fresh take on a beloved creepypasta legend. With the right direction, plot changes, and cast, Jeff the Killer could become a lasting figure in the world of horror cinema, haunting audiences for years to come.
Hey there, fantasy and science fiction fans, lovers. If you can't get enough of mystical realms, futuristic worlds, and thrilling adventures, then you come to the right place. By subscribing to Fantasy and Science Fiction at Story Nori, you gain access to an amazing collection of stories that will transport you to realms beyond your imagination. By hitting that subscribe button, you'll never miss out on the latest tales of wizards, time travels, space exploration, and so much more. Our channel is dedicated to bringing you the best in fantasy and science fiction storytelling, and we're always adding new and exciting content for you to enjoy. But that's not all. By subscribing, you'll be also becoming part of our incredible community of fellow fantasy and sci-fi enthusiasts. You'll be first to know about the latest content for the channel that you won't find anywhere else. So what are you waiting for? Join us on this epic journey into the unknown by subscribing to Fantasy and Science Fiction at Story Nori. Today, your next thrilling adventure awaits. Right, hit that subscribe button and let the storytelling begin. Thank you for being part of our amazing community. We can't wait to share even more incredible stories with you.